Alice,
Thank you. Thank you
spotlight
so
up.
much.
There we go.
It's always a pleasure to be doing a presentation for Greenwich Library.
Oh, do you
You
want to
guys are
mention about
fabulous.
questions?
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
So for questions, we do have the chat open. If people would like to leave questions in the chat, I'll be stopping periodically to check. I know Lorna will also be keeping an eye on the chat too if something urgent pops up. Also, the presentation slides are going to be available after the class. So you guys will be able to get all the slides that you're seeing today. So definitely feel free to leave questions, comments in the chat, or just say hello. I always enjoy a good hello too. All right. So let's talk. Oh, there we go. Do we have a hello there today? Oh, Patty asked in the chat what days and times are available for the tech support. So Lorna, I'll let you take that one in
Yeah,
the
I'll
chat.
post that.
Thanks. But it's awesome that you guys offer the tech support program. All right. So Canva, creating cool presentations. I used to do presentations in PowerPoint when I originally got started teaching, which was wonderful. PowerPoint's a great software, but my slides were definitely white background, black text, and maybe like occasional pictures and stuff. Since using Canva, I have been able to make much more brightly colored, engaging presentations. And that's really the goal of today's class, is just to show you how to punch up your own presentation. So if you have a meeting where you have to present something, or if you're going to be teaching like I am, this should hopefully give you some tips to get you started. So let's talk about what we're going to be discussing today. So we are first going to talk a little bit about Canva in general, and then we'll also be talking about some of the features that Canva has rolled out specifically for their presentation templates. So Canva, if you don't know, has a bunch of different modes to it. It has a document writing mode, as a whiteboard mode, and it also has a presentation mode. And that has some extra features that aren't available in the other template types. So we'll talk about the presentation specific features. And then we are actually going to do a live demo where we make a presentation together. Last time I did this, it was around Mother's Day. We ended up doing a Mother's Day presentation. As for what we do today, we'll see. I'm going to leave it up to you guys in the chat. So let's go ahead and start talking about Canva. And like I said, I'll be checking for questions periodically. All right, so first, what is Canva? So Canva is a graphic design software aimed for users who do not have a background in art or graphic design, which is personally why I love Canva. I always famously tell people I come from a family of artists. My grandfather was a painter, my uncle was a painter, my sister's a graphic designer, and I just can't draw a stick figure. So for somebody like me who enjoys creative activities but doesn't necessarily have that drawing or graphic design talent, something like Canva is awesome because I can still get a polished professional product without necessarily having the graphic design skills. Canva was launched in 2013 as a limited beta, but after gaining over 750,000 users in its first year, it has just kept growing since then. I did start using Canva when it was a beta originally, and as soon as I used it, I knew that this was going to be big. It just caught on so fast, and it's so easy to teach people how to use. I'm hoping if this is like your first experience with Canva ever, that you might end up enjoying it for more than just presentations, because it really is able to do so much. All right. So before we start talking about the presentation specifically, I do want to talk about some Canva specific vocabulary terms, because these are going to be coming up while we are taking a look through the different templates. So Canva calls all of the assets that you can use to create presentations, documents, social media posts, whatever. They call those assets elements. So elements includes graphics, photos, videos, frames, and more. So that's just the umbrella term for all the things that you can use in Canva. They're all called elements. And just to define a couple of the ones that we're going to be using for today's class, First is graphics. So graphics is like the static purple butterfly here. So this is what I like to call clip art, but 10 times better. Because I don't know if you remember clip art from Microsoft Office, but you would look through and be like, these are funky looking. And, you would not really find one that you would always find appealing. And the selection was very small. Graphics is like clip art, but 10 times better. You have over 1 million options within Canva, especially if you have Canva Premium. If you only have Canva Free, you still have quite a lot of options to look through. And the nice thing about Canva's graphics is that they have a variety of different artists that contribute to Canva. And those artists cover so many different art styles. So you could find like watercolor style illustrations, black and white line art, anime, like any type of art style you're thinking of, chances are there are some assets available for you to use in that art style. So graphics, we're talking about still illustrations. Now, moving illustrations, like this little flapping butterfly that we have up here, the animated butterfly, are called stickers. So stickers are little cartoon-like animated graphics. And these are great in presentations because as soon as you start the slide, like just to show you, automatically the stickers animation starts playing. So these are fun to just kind of pop into your presentations to just add a little bit of movement. Photos are, of course, stock photography, like the photograph we have of a butterfly here. And videos are, again, videos, they're moving files. Nice thing about video files and presentations, and just to show you that again, is if I switch to that slide, that video file automatically starts playing. So these are really nice to also have occasionally, just to kind of add a little extra interest to your presentation. You could also make them the background too, which just kind of adds, a little fancy. I always like to add these in at parts of the presentation where I'm worried that people might be getting bored, because sometimes just that little flicker of movement on the screen just kind of wakes people back up and gets them watching again. So. All right, and then just very briefly talking about the Canva pricing, there's 2 different versions of Canva available for the day-to-day consumer. There's the Canva Free and the Canva Pro. So Canva Free actually does give you quite a lot. Canva Pro gives you access to the full library, all of the templates, and then you also have the AI tools, which we're going to be talking about in just a little bit. But Canva has these tools called magic tools, and they use AI to allow you to edit your photos, generate new photos, do a little bit more. So with the AI tools, those are only available in the premium version of Canva. So premium is about $15 a month. You could also pay a yearly fee if you prefer to pay it in one chunk instead. Now, nice thing about Canva too is that it's also web-based. So you can access it from any browser at www.canva.com, which is one of the things that I find the most convenient about Canva is this idea that I can just automatically go to any computer. I could be at home, I could drive to work, I could go on my computer, go to canva.com and pick up on my project that I was working on at home, exactly where I left off on it. So just as long as you have a computer with internet access or a device with internet access, you will be able to access Canva and you will be able to access your Canva account. Now, Canva does have some apps if you prefer to work offline. They have apps for iOS, Android, if you want to work on the mobile version of Canva, and then they also have desktop apps for Windows and Mac OS. Today, I am using the Windows desktop version of Canva, but if anybody wants to see the browser version, I can absolutely hop into there. I will say Canva has done a pretty good job of making the web version almost identical to the desktop apps. There's like 1 or 2 things the desktop apps can do that the browser can't, namely like some of the offline features. But the fact that they look so similar is actually kind of rare in a software. So it's cool to see that. The mobile version does look totally different, but it does have all of the same features. So we're not going to be working with mobile today, but just know a lot of things that I talk about will also apply to that mobile version. All right. So we're going to talk about some of the presentation specific features, but before I do that, I do just want to check the chat, see if we got anything. Let's see. Angela asked, hi, every time I try to use a free photo from Canva, I can never find it. It keeps redirecting me to the photo templates. Where can I simply find the free photos to download? Hold on to that question, Angela. I could definitely show you when we hop into Canva. We're going to do a live demo in a little while. So if I forget to go there, definitely remind me, but we'll be looking at the photos. So I'll show you exactly how to see where the free ones are. CGS. Hi, hoping you could address using Canva designs in PowerPoint. Yes, actually. One of the features is that you can actually export your Canva design as a PowerPoint file. So we will discuss that. All right. Kathy asks, is Canva premium or annual? Canva can be an annual fee if you want to. You can pay annually or you could pay monthly. And Kathy asks, is it possible to download presentation so it may be edited in the future? Yes, you can actually. So we are going to talk about that. And Elliot asked, can you stop the stickers after a while so they don't distract? That's actually a great question. I don't know. I've never tried that. Let's see real quick. If I click on the sticker, does it stop it? No. So the answer is no, Elliot. Fortunately, it looks like the stickers just kind of loop forever. The videos you can pause, but it looks like the stickers just kind of continuously loop as a GIF. Good question. I've never thought about that. All right, so 2025 presentation features. So let's talk about all of the presentation features that Canva has added. So first off, the core presentation tools is Canva has the slide template, which is extremely useful. So anytime you go to Canva, you choose presentation, it will automatically create a canvas that is the 16:9 aspect ratio. If you don't know what that is, there's the same aspect ratio that Microsoft PowerPoint uses and that a lot of presentation software uses. So that 16:9 aspect ratio ensures that your presentation is going to be the correct size. Also makes for a very easy transition to PowerPoint if you want to take your Canva slides and import them into PowerPoint later. Now, not only do they give you the canvas that is sized correctly, but they also give you layouts and themes. So what that means is I can choose a preset theme and I can just type in my own text and my own, I could pop in my own images. So for example, to show you this one that we have here, this is like a photography theme, but I can just keep this theme. Like I could keep like the beige colors and like the placement of the photos and the, font pairings and everything. And I could just type like Allison's cool presentation and just put a picture of myself there. So it's a nice way to just be able to get started quickly with the presentation, or just to kind of like help you get started with designing without necessarily getting hung up by the blank page. The drag and drop editor, Canva has what's called a drag and drop system, meaning that I choose what graphic, what element, or whatever I want, and I just drag it over to my presentation and let go of it, and it just drops right into place. So we'll see that live in a bit. Then one of the things I love is the design grids and guides. Canva does allow you to automatically center items, which is great because I am very bad at centering. In our makerspace, I am always having my coworkers come over to double check that I've centered something before I print it. So the fact that Canva could just do that automatically is awesome. Now, this is where things start to get a little bit more presentation specific. So when I am presenting, as I am now, not only can you create your presentation in Canva, but you can also play your slideshow directly from Canva, which is what I'm doing. And when you play your slideshow from Canva, you can access what's called presenter view. So presenter view has a whole bunch of settings that are specific to Canva's presentation templates only. So you're not going to see this mode in documents or whiteboard or anything. It's only in Canva's presentation templates. And they allow you to do some very cool things. First thing presentation mode allows you to do is autoplay and loop, which is so useful. We use that all the time at the library. Essentially, that allows me to start up a presentation and just have it autoplay in the background. So it'll just automatically move through the slides. So this is awesome. Say if you want to have like a advertising kiosk, say I'm at like a convention or something and I want to have all of my different like products or services just kind of like going in a presentation on a screen while I'm talking or doing whatever, helping people. That sort of thing is awesome for, Canva to be able to do. So basically you could turn any computer into automatic signage or digital signage, which is great. The presenter view itself also allows you to do things like write notes to yourself, which I think is useful. So this is a view that you will see on the computer you're presenting from, but the audience isn't going to see. In my case, I'm not teaching with standard presenter view right now because I'm mirroring my screen, so you would see the presenter view. But if I'm teaching live, that is something that I can potentially do. Also, one of my favorite features that it has, which I think is very underrated, is the ability to use your phone as a clicker. So if you don't know what a clicker is, it's usually a little device that you can click to move forward or backwards on your slides during your presentations. I have a manual clicker. I love it. I have to have my clicker when I teach. I have to like hold something in my hand. And when I forget my clicker at home, I am so sad. It definitely throws off my flow. So the fact that if I ever forget my clicker, I can use Canva and just hook up my phone and have an automatic clicker is awesome. Another cool thing that Canva can do is what's called Canva Live. So Canva Live is a real-time Q&A feature where audience members can submit questions during your presentation. Kind of like what we're doing now with Zoom, except Canva allows you to host that natively through Canva if you prefer. So just to show you what that presentation mode looks like, this is what it is. So when I hit present, gives me the option of presenting full screen or presenting in presentation mode. And then I can see the presentation mode here. So I can write myself little notes on each of the slides. And then as I go through the presentation, those notes will be available for me to look at. And then we also have that little wireless remote button here, allows me to connect my phone to the presentation to control it. So all I have to do is click that little remote control icon and then scan the QR code with my phone, and it will automatically sync my phone to the computer so I can start using that as a clicker, which is pretty cool. And then this is what the Canva Live look like. So there's notes on the side here, and then Canva Live is right next to it. You can ask your audience, basically, they would go on their phone to canva.live, and then they would type in a code at that website, and then that would connect them to the live presentation. And there's definitely many different ways where that could come in handy. For us right now, we don't really need that because we do have Zoom to be able to do the, chat with us. But there's plenty of ways that you can use that to get a little extra engagement during a presentation. It's very similar to something like Kahoot or Jackbox games, if you've ever played those, that also are things that, you can like hook up your phone to be able to use your phone to interact with the presentation. So a cool feature to have, definitely.
Question here, are the loop mode and the clicker use of the phone available on the free version of Canva?
That I am not 100% sure. I want to say yes, but I would have to look it up, to be honest. Pretty sure they would be, because I want to say yes, but I don't want to say yes definitively. But if you like, I could take a look up after and see. But that was a good question. All right, collaboration features. So nice thing about Canva too is if you are working on any sort of group project or group presentation, Canva does have a lot of features for you to be able to work together. Because I know the pain of trying to send somebody a PowerPoint file and then hoping they don't mess up all of the hard work that you did. So with the collaboration features, you can have multiple people working on a document at the same time. So you can have multiple people in the presentation working on different slides, building out their part of the presentation, and you can see each other's changes happen in real time, which is awesome. They also have the ability to add comments. So if, say, I change something on slide number 3 and I want to let, one of my partners know, hey, I changed something here, I can actually flag that thing that I changed and write a comment explaining, what I did. So that way, when the next person goes to look at that slide, they can see my comments and, they'll know where to pick up. I also wrote, which is probably my favorite feature, is the ability to keep people from messing up your stuff. Because Canva has what's called version history. So version history is, say you do all this work in Canva and then you come back the next day and somebody accidentally deleted all the slides and they're panicking. Luckily, Canva has that version history. So all you have to do is go to version history and then you can see the auto-saved backups of your presentation and you can restore it to an earlier save point. So that's useful if something gets deleted that you didn't mean to get deleted and you don't know exactly what point in the process that happened. You could actually look through all those different versions, find what you're looking for, and restore it. So definitely would have come in handy for me back in college when I had some bad group project experiences. And then this is a premium only feature, is the AI powered magic tools. So these tools allow me to use AI to do some parts of my presentation automatically. Now, I do also want to give the, disclaimer here that we never want to use anything that the AI generates at face value. Anytime you have an AI write text for your presentation or generate images, we always want to be double and triple checking those things. But, this is a good way to kind of get you to the finish line a little bit faster, get you started with a rough draft that you can be working with and tweaking with and checking over. So some of the tools specifically for presentations is the Magic Design. So Magic Design allows me to put in a phrase and then Canva will create a presentation based on what I typed in. So for example, we have why libraries are so great is what I typed in, and then you can see it created some presentations. Interestingly, it called it the heart of knowledge in both of the ones that it generated. So that's interesting. Now, I will say those are very, very bare bones. Like they're meant to kind of just like start you off in your design. You definitely would not be able to put that in and then automatically go teach the class. But, kind of just gets you like thinking about the structure of the class and what that would probably encompass. So we're going to try that live in a little bit. The Magic Write is an AI writing assistant for slide content. Now, this only works in what's called document mode. So I would have to have a separate document where I'm typing up all the text that my slide is going to go into. But I could use the Magic Write to help me phrase things correctly. So say I kind of just word vomit a bunch of stuff on the page. I can use the Magic Write and be like, make this sound like a professional person said this, and Magic Write would be able to do that. So really, really useful, again, for just kind of like double checking yourself. And then finally is the Magic Animate. One of my least favorite things to do in presentations, I know this is actually a lot of people's favorite things, but I do not enjoy choosing all the little transitions in between the slides. Canva also has another layer of that called animations, where you can have like text pop up at different times and, images kind of like gradually appear and disappear throughout the presentation. Very cool, but takes a lot of time to like set up each individual element with an animation. So the Magic Animate just kind of analyzes your slide and then applies the animations it thinks are best, and you can always change them manually if you don't like them. Again, those magic tools are premium features only. Then finally, I'm just going to go very quickly over this one. But all of the media and brand kits that are available in regular Canva are available in presentation mode. So now you're able to make charts and graphs. This is something relatively new, but basically it's like a mini version of Excel, which is kind of neat. And so it lets you make charts and graphs, but because it's Canva, they're very like aesthetically pleasing charts and graphs. So if you want to add those in to spice up your presentation, you can do that. The embedded media allows you to add videos, music, and even YouTube clips to your presentations. As I described a little bit earlier, the animations and transitions are polished effects that allow you to, instead of just kind of like going from one slide, hard cutting to the other slide, you can put in transitions, you can choose how elements appear on the slides and fade out of the slides as well. And then one of my favorite things that Canva has, this is a premium only feature, but this is the brand kit. So if you have like a small business that you do presentations for frequently, you can actually create what's called a brand kit where you can put in your logo, you can put in your preferred fonts, your branding colors, so like whatever colors you have for your brand. And then that way, any presentation that you make, you can just click on the color scheme and it automatically will change that template to fit those colors. And you can put in your logos, do other things too. So very nice if you want to keep a consistent branding across different presentations. All right. And then final two, interactivity and exporting. So if I create a presentation and I want to be able to share that presentation with people afterward, I can export my presentation slides as a PDF. And when I do that, people are actually still able to click on the different links that I have available in the presentation. So for example, when you guys get this later, you'd actually be able to click and watch this video as long as you're watching on the computer. Same thing with this one, if I wanted to read that article, I can click that and it will bring me over to that article. So really great if you want to have like a presentation with like a nice resource list or something at the end. You can have all those linkable elements available in there. Downloading. So you can choose to save your presentation as PDF, video, you could share it as a link, or, and this is something they've been working on over the past couple of years and they've really made better, you can save it as a PowerPoint file. So I can do all of my designing in Canva and then save it to my computer and open it up in PowerPoint. And when they first launched this feature, it was a beta and it was really, really buggy. I would find that a lot of my slides would get messed up like from Canva when they opened in PowerPoint. Nowadays, though, it's been way more reliable. It does a great job of keeping the elements in the same places. If it's not able to exactly match the fonts that you have in Canva, it's pretty good at being able to get fonts that are pretty similar. So that has definitely improved a lot over time. So yes, if you do like working in PowerPoint, and I still do, there's features that I like very much about PowerPoint. That's usually the route that I go is I'll do all my designing in Canva, save it as a PowerPoint, and then open it up in PowerPoint to just do my final edits. And then of course we have offline mode. Now, as I said earlier, Canva is primarily a web-based software. Usually you go to the website, www.canva.com, and you can access your presentation. But if you have the Canva software, so if you have the Canva app, you can actually enable a design for offline presenting. So that way, if you're in a situation where you're going somewhere where you don't have internet, but you still want to be able to present your presentation, still be able to access it, you would be able to access it with that offline mode. All right. Just going to check chat real fast before we hop into these. Let's see, are the loop mode and the clicker mode? Oh yeah, so yeah, I will double check that after for you, Katrina, because I am curious about that. I feel like they are, but it is a good question. And what is the time interval for the autosave? That's a good question. We will actually take a look at that. I believe I want to say that, I mean, the autosave itself is like frequent. Like if I make a change, get out, come back in, that change stays. So the autosave itself is like instantaneous. The backup snapshots that I am not 100% sure about. I know it definitely has like days back. I know it's also had like hours back for me in some cases, but I don't know how often it does that or if you could change it. So we could take a look at that together after and just see. We'll mess up a presentation and we'll roll it back and see what it does. All right, so presentation tips. These are just a couple tips if you have never done a presentation before, never created a presentation before. So some of you guys might be pros who've been using PowerPoint and doing presentations for years. Some of you might be preparing to do a presentation for the first time. So just a couple tips while you're doing your designing. The first thing that I always recommend when you are designing a presentation is to definitely keep your slides as simple as possible. So we want to have slides that are going to be primarily images and are not going to have a ton of text. You want to have enough text, you know, that people could look at the slide and get an idea of what it's about, or maybe like key vocabulary terms. But we don't want to have a gigantic block of text for our slides. So we want to keep things, you know, minimal text, more on the images. And a lot of the presentation templates that you see in Canva are going to follow a similar type of format. They're going to be very image heavy, not as text heavy. Another thing is that slides or guides, which kind of goes into the last point, is that you don't necessarily want the slide to be what you're reading from. You want the slide to remind you of the topic that you're talking about. You don't necessarily want to read word from word from the slide. What I recommend doing is if you are new to teaching and you've never taught a class before, you know, maybe have all of your points that you want to make on each slide written out so you can like look down at them. Or if you're using the presentation mode in Canva, you could actually have additional information in that notes area, but the slides, you know, just kind of guide the flow of the presentation. They just keep you going from point A to point B to point C. So you remember what you're talking about and you remember the path that you're taking, but you definitely do not want to just read word from word from the slide. You know, you'll find people get bored very, very fast, unfortunately, when that happens. So slide is a guide, not your script. And then the most important thing, which I actually think I've already demonstrated today, is that teachers are students. You know, it's okay to not know everything when you are doing a presentation. If questions arise that you can't answer, you can find the answer together, which we will be doing in just a moment for some of those questions we had earlier. All right, so let's go ahead and do some presentation stuff together. So we're about halfway through, so this is perfect timing.
There's an interesting question here, Allison. Can you record your presentation and include a synced audio track with your slides?
Yes, you can actually. You can do that. So they do have the ability on the timeline to add audio down here. So yeah, you could definitely record audio for each slide and then just sync it up with the slides. Which is awesome if, you know, you want something that can kind of automatically play like that. Yes, you are able to do that. All right. So let's go to the homepage for Canva here. All right. And we are going to make a presentation together. We're going to try out some of the features that I was talking about earlier. So I'm gonna have, if people want to leave some suggestions in the chat while I'm talking here of what we could do for a presentation. So any topic that you could think of that might be fun to create a presentation about spontaneously, definitely feel free to put things in the chat. And it could be anything from like why cats are the best house pet to the best, flavor of ice cream is that, like, whatever you want to make a presentation about, you just put that in the chat and we could do that as a sample. All right.
Angela says tarot card reading.
Oh, tarot card readings. Okay. Actually, they have a lot of really cute tarot assets. Winter travel suggestions is good too. I like both of these. All right. We'll play around with those too. I think those are both really, really good suggestions. Okay, so let's talk about presentations. So this is Canva's home screen. So when I first log into Canva, whether I'm logging in through the website or the software, this is the screen that I go to as soon as I log into my account. And you can see down here that we have all of the designs that I am working on recently. And you'll notice, since I teach a lot, I do have a lot of presentation style ones. And the ones that say that they are presentations have this little orange icon here and say presentation. So that means that I made that with a presentation template. So I use the presentation feature specifically to be able to create that. Whereas some of the other ones that you might notice, they just have like the pencil, or the printer. So these are different styles of graphics for Canva. Now to create a presentation, I am just going to click presentation right in the middle here, and it'll automatically launch the presentation. So I clicked presentation, and then you can see that we got a blank slide here that is that 16:9 aspect ratio. So these are the same size, again, that PowerPoint uses. So if we do save this later and open it as a PowerPoint, we are going to be able to have that same size. I don't have to resize anything. Now, let's make presentation together. Let's see. So yeah, tarot card readings. I think we'll do that one first with the magic design. I feel like tarot cards and magic design goes together. Winter travel, we'll do that one. Interior designer. There's actually some very good options for that. Book recommendations. Oh, I love, these are all great ideas. I wish I could make all of these. But we'll take a look at some of those and see, what templates we could find that might fit some of those topics. So first, let's start with the layout of Canva here. So we are starting off with our canvas. So our canvas is going to be the screen where we're going to do primarily most of our designing. And below the canvas here, I can see how many pages I have in my design. So currently I just have one slide. So when we're talking about presentations, we're talking about slides, but they're just called pages here. So if I want to add another slide, I can just hit the plus sign over here, and that will add a page. So now I have 1 page, 2 page, and I can add as many as I need. If I ever want to delete a page, I just click the 3 little dots here, and I can do delete, and that gets rid of it. So we have our canvas here, and we can toggle between all of the pages that we have down here. So currently we just have 1 page because I deleted the other one. Now, all of our elements, templates, etc., all of that is going to be in the elements menu. So that is this big bar on the left-hand side of the screen here. So this is where I'm going to find all of the different assets and different things that I could work with. So we're going to start at the top where it says design, and then we'll go down and we'll take a look at some of those other options that are in there. So let's look at design. So this is where you can start off with a template for your presentation. So let's say, for example, I wanted to, let's maybe do the interior design one to start with. Centennial, oh, that's a good one too. You guys have some good presentation ideas. Let's maybe do the interior design one because I think they're going to have a lot for that. So if I type in a keyword like interior design, you could see here that it already starts me off with some very cool templates that I can get started with. So this is one of my favorite things with Canva because I can just click a template, see if I like it, you know, start putting some of my own elements in there and changing things around a little bit. So let's pick one that is calling to us. I'm going to say, let's do this one here. Yeah, actually, you know what? Let's do this one I like. So if I like a presentation template, first thing I want to do is if I have Canva free versus Canva Pro, I do want to check and make sure that that template is available for free. So anything with the crown icon means that that is a premium template. Anything that doesn't have the crown icon, like this one, means that that is a free template. So if you're using the free version of Canva, you could use that template. So let's use a free one, actually. So I'm going to click this one. When I click a template, it allows me to view the different types of slides that are available in here. So these are, you don't have to feel like you just have to use these, but they're just kind of different layouts that fit that template. So I could get a little bit of variation in my presentation. I can choose to apply all of these at once, and that's just going to take all 10 of these slides and just put them in a presentation for me. So if I do apply all 10 pages, give it a sec to load there, you'll see that it went ahead and added all of those slides. And based on what topic you put in, you know, it'll try to have a, that's the right word, I guess, a structure that fits whatever your topic was. So you could see, because this was an interior design one, home decor presentation, it has sections like an about, you know, here's our services that we offer, here's our team members, things that you might find in a presentation of that style. Now, the cool thing is with this sort of template, especially for interior design, actually, so it worked pretty well, is you could see the sample pictures that they have here, but you can just go ahead to the uploads option that's on the left-hand menu here, and you can just upload your own images. So you could just drag and drop anything that you want into these slots. So just to show you what that looks like real quick, here's a picture of people on the computer at my library. It's not quite as aesthetic, but you could see that that drag and dropped right into there. I'm sure as an interior designer, you got way better pictures than I do for my camera. So yeah, that's a very easy way to just do an interior design portfolio and just drag and drop your stuff. If I want to change any of the text that's here, like for example, probably the website and the name of the company, yeah, probably gonna want to put your name, of your company and your website. All I have to do is just double click, and then I can go ahead and type in whatever I want. Allison Design Co. And there we go. And you can see that quick, you know, I'm able to have that tailored towards me. So that's one way that you can get started with a presentation. So I'm going to clear that one out. We're going to make a new one. About a month from now, I'm going to go back through my account and be like, why was I creating interior design presentations? Okay. So the other option for getting started is to go ahead and use the magic design. So for that one, I'm thinking, let's do the tarot cards. I think that would be fun. So for magic design, up at the search bar here, I can type in 4+ words on what I want my presentation to be about, and it will generate presentation slides based on that. So let's do the meaning of the major arcana in tarot. And we'll put in cards just so it knows what we're talking about. All right, so once I do that, down below where it says all results, these are the ones that it just had as a regular template. So it'll try to take those terms and find something close. It actually had a tarot one, which is kind of cool. But the ones that are up here that are labeled magic design, you do see all, these are the ones that the AI is coming up with. So we could see that it is thinking about a couple different design choices. Some of these are a little plain. Some of them are nice. I like this one actually. So if I like a presentation, I can click on it. And let's see what presentation it came up with. All right, the major arcana, exploring the journey of the fool in tarot and its profound meanings. So you can see that it came up with a little syllabus here based on what I had given it. And yeah, you can see it came up with, okay, here's some of the tarot cards, some very popular cards. And it gave you, okay, here's the meaning of those cards. I like the little quote, that's very cool. They're in a statistic there. And that's it. So it actually comes up with a presentation format for you. Again, I wouldn't necessarily go ahead and bring that, like automatically to just like do it and then teach that. But, can get you started brainstorming about maybe what that presentation could look like. I'm going to try the winter travel one too. So suggestions for winter travel. How about destinations?
Someone asked if they can hyperlink their website.
Oh, yes, you can actually. So just to show you on that other one, which I still have open over here. So if I click on a link, so like I had typed in www.longwoodlibrary.org down here, I could click that text box, hit the 3 dots, and then click link. And that'll allow me to type in whatever link I want. So that way, if you are sending the presentation to somebody as a PDF, or you're sending them the slides, they would be able to click on that link. I think we got that. There you go. So yeah, now that's clickable if I download that as a PDF. That's a good question. All right, let's do destinations for winter travel. So it's going to create a presentation on that for us. Give it a sec there. There we go. All right, let's do see all. Can you see what it came up with? Some of these are nice. Let's maybe do this one. So again, I can look at it, click apply, and then I can see what it went ahead and created. And you can see that it actually created a very differently structured presentation than the tarot one. So it really is genuinely analyzing what the topic is and coming up with things that fits that topic. So very cool. All right. let's take a look at some of the other features here. So for this, I'm actually going to go to a presentation that I have worked with. Let's see, do we have? Let's do computer and mouse basics. Okay, so this is a presentation that I have taught at a few of the libraries on the island here. And I have made some changes to it in the past. So we should have some history with this one. So let's say I was going to a library to teach this. And as I'm looking through some of the slides that I made, I remember that there was a version of this, maybe like a couple months ago, that had some different information or had a slide that I took out, and I want to be able to look at that. So to be able to go back to any previous version of my presentation, I could go to File up here. And in File, I could do Version History. Now, Version History is a premium feature. I do want to mention that. It does autosave. Autosave is not premium, but just being able to roll it back is premium. And let's see how many different versions it's saved. So in this case, it looks like based on when I was working on it, it seems like it's saved about once an hour. Actually, once every half hour almost. So on the 21st, we could see that I was working on this presentation. It saved it at 5:30, 6:12, 6:26, 7:41, 7:45. So it looks like between maybe like 15 to 30 minutes, it does save a version of that while I'm in there actively working on it. And you can see when I first created it. So I first created it at 3 p.m. I don't know what took me so long. I guess I didn't come back to it until 5. And then I had worked on it all through that evening. And I had made changes on the 21st, and I had also made changes on the 24th. And then September 3rd, I made some changes in April 23rd. So it is cool to be able to look back and kind of just to get an idea of, you know, what timeline I had been working on this in. And if I wanted to roll back to any of these previous versions, I could just click on it and it will automatically let me look at what's in there. So let's say I wanted to go back to, let's do a really early one, this one. So here we go. We can see like, here's some of the elements that I had initially. And then my camera might be blocking it for you guys, unfortunately, but there's a little restore button that's over here. So I can either hit restore to just roll the presentation back, or if I'm not 100% sure, you know, maybe I just want to have like this copy of the presentation saved somewhere too. I could also do make a copy, and it'll just make a copy of this version, and I can edit that separately, which is kind of nice. Let's see. So yeah, the hyperlink answer. Are you allowed to monetize the AI generated presentations as long as you customize them with your own text and images? Yes, actually. You can monetize honestly anything that you use in Canva if you are using the pro version. Even if you're not using the pro version, because it depends on the licensing. But basically, when you're using pro, you're paying for the licensing for the premium elements. And yes, you are allowed to monetize those. So you could even monetize them with the ones that they use out of the box, which is kind of cool. All right, so let's get back out of here. And let's say I want to share this presentation with people. So I'm going to go to share. So first, if I want to present, I would click present. I'm not going to do that only because unfortunately, when I'm on Zoom, it might mess up the presentation a little bit. So I'm just going to leave that off. But if I want to just present directly from Canva, I could hit present and it'll give me some options for that, as well as the presenter view. But if I want to share this presentation with somebody else or save it to my computer or download it as a, handout, I can go to share. And I have some options here. First off, if I want to send the link to somebody else, all I have to do is type in their email address here and choose what level of access they have. So, for example, I could say I want to share this with, I don't know, Karen at Hotbog Library. Like I could go ahead and type in her email address, type a message and share, and she'll get the link to that presentation. And she'll be able to access it with that link. So that's how you would invite a collaborator in, is by sending them that. You could also just choose, instead of having people be invited to the link, you could just choose to do anyone with the link, and then just copy the link to the presentation here, and then just post that wherever. So if I want to just take that and post it in like an email and just email it to all the people that I want to be able to access that presentation, I could do that. And I could even choose those people are allowed to edit, or they're just allowed to view, so they don't mess up my presentation. So you have a couple options there. You can also download in a variety of different formats. So the formats are PDF, PDF prints. These I love. You know, this is great for just being able to share your document digitally. So if you just want to share your presentation slides, but in a smaller file format, so it's easier to email and send around to people, the PDF standard's great. If you want to actually print them out and hand them out, PDF prints is great for that. And then you can see we also do have the PowerPoint version as well. So I can click PowerPoint, do download, and then that'll actually download it to my computer, which it's doing now. And then I would be able to open it up in PowerPoint once it's saved. So let's see, might have clicked too early. Hold on. Yep, still saving. Might be having a hard time because I'm on Zoom right now. We'll see. All right, let me check chat while we're waiting for it to do that. Can you do a Canva webcast in the future on brochures or marketing tear sheets? I am always down to teach any kind of Canva class, but yeah, brochures actually are one of my favorite things to make with Canva. We make them all the time at our library for, you know, things like advertising our different services and different databases we have. So yeah, absolutely, I would love to do brochures. Yes, and Lorna said she'll add this list to the future program ideas. Yes, cool. All right, and then while I was answering that, it actually created the presentation. So we'll do save, and let's open it up in PowerPoint and just see what it looks like real quick. View. This will be where I remember if I have PowerPoint on this computer. I guess I do. And there you go. And now it's open in PowerPoint, and I can just edit it in PowerPoint. And you can see it did a pretty good job of keeping that, like it looks almost exactly the same as it did in Canva, which is pretty impressive. You might get little elements that moved around here and there. Like I think that was supposed to be up there. So you definitely want to look through it after you export it to PowerPoint, but for the most part, I'd say it did a pretty good job with that conversion. All right. And I know we're about at time now, but do we have any other questions before I wrap things up? See, don't see anything else popping up. Oh, no problem. CG, thank you. I appreciate you guys coming today. We are gonna again be sending around the presentation slides. Oh, Angela asked the photos. Yes, yes, yes. Photos are available in Elements. You scroll down on Elements till you get to Photos. And once you search for a photo, so let's say I look for pictures of cats because I'm a crazy cat lady. So once you're in Photos and you're running a search, I can go to the 3 lines over here and I can choose free. So this will only show me images that are available in the free version of Canva, or I should say are free to use in the free version of Canva. You could also tell if it doesn't have the little crown icon here, then that means it should be free. So hopefully that helps out, Angela.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Allison.
and appreciate you doing this presentation today.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much.
And thank you
It's
all
always
for
such an
coming,
honor.
everybody.
I appreciate it.